putting this thing on, but this is all we have right now that works consistently. I told one of the students that was helping me the other night, I said, I feel like Garth Brooks. She said, who? Like, dude, never mind. Get it? I'm showing my age, and definitely we are, most of us in this room are digital immigrants. Our kids are the digital natives. And as we go through it, and I just want to show you where our philosophy is with Killian and where we're headed with your children, and why we have to change the way we do business. We can no longer teach kids the way we were taught. It's not going to work. We're not going to prepare them for their future. It's not going to happen at all. Raise your hand if you have a smartphone. I don't care if it's an iPhone. Look around. Okay? Raise your hand if you've ever driven off and left for work and left this at home. How many of you turned around and came back and did it? That happened to me yesterday. Although I had a meeting where we were going, I couldn't turn around. Fortunately, my secretary lives on our block. They're good family friends. I caught her before she left. Go in my house, in my study, next to the flat screen, get my iPhone. I have to have it. Just in a short amount of time, this is a part of our lives, right? Think about it. And I remember when I first got one, I didn't know what all the hype was about. And my daughter, who now is a junior in high school, but she was in middle school at the time, came to school and I was looking at it, there was 1 million apps on this thing. All games and so forth. I couldn't figure out how to get them off. So I walked in the cafeteria in the morning, do a morning video, and I got my microphone. And I asked the kids, raise your hand if you have an iPhone. A lot of hands went up. I said, raise your hand if you know how to get these apps off of an iPhone. And they came up and said, Mr. Cassel, you got to get them jiggling. And I said, gotcha. Gotcha. I just got my iPhone 5 right before Christmas. We couldn't find FaceTime on there. I was in talking with the teacher's lounge. Teachers couldn't figure it out. I'll be right back. Fortunately, it was during lunchtime. Did the same thing. Got on the microphone. Raise your hand if you know how to find FaceTime on an iPhone 5. Got 10 hands come up. Come here. Those are the experts. And I tell my teachers this, we're learning from the experts. These kids, and I know if you've got any technology around, they don't read the instructions. It's intuitive. They pick it up and go. That's one of the reasons we're using this iPads. It's become a part of their lives. The way they communicate, the way they play, the way they learn. So there's some fantastic things that these things can do, and you'll find out over time. We'll share a little bit about it today. But while we're doing business at Killian, why were we chosen? We are literally on the cutting edge, I think, of any school in the nation of what we're doing. We have a very young staff. A lot of those are, well, some of them are digital natives. They know a lot about technology. That is one of the key things I ask when I'm interviewing someone. What do you think of technology? How do you implement it in your classroom? So we're ahead of the game. And I think if you look and you see the smart space in here. Some kids are writing on the table. We have idea paint on the walls. They write on the walls. They collaborate. That's where we're headed. Please understand, and somebody this came up as a question in one of our meetings, that technology is not the panacea for all the ills of education. It's not going to make everybody pass the STAR test immediately. No, it is just another tool that we utilize. And I tell my teachers, quit designing lessons around technology. That's not the key. Technology should be transparent. You've read Stephen Jobs' books. He quoted me on that. And it is not the star of the show at all. So I said, let the kids decide. You come up with a good inquiry-based lesson, one that will challenge the students, and then just have it sitting there. They'll choose what they need for their learning process. And here's evidence right here. This is one of the first time they use a smart space. iPhone, I don't know if you can see it, it's kind of dark, but a laptop, and then again, collaborative learning. writing on the board and sharing ideas. That's what we want to teach kids, is how to collaborate and work with one another. One drawback with technology we're finding out is texting. Kids don't talk. Have you noticed that as much? They break up with each other on the phone. Believe me, that's true. They need to learn how to talk and then listen. So collaboration is the key skill that we're teaching, and this can help as well. So we're fortunate to have these spaces. We're excited about it. While we're doing this, we know the world's changing so quickly. One of my teachers showed this to me. It's a new Mercedes this year. If you look close, it's missing the steering wheel. It has a joystick on it. Now, I couldn't drive this with I'm left-handed. I sit on the wrong side. But this is not Jetson type stuff. This is today. And you're going to see more of this. I'm not promoting Fellowship Church. We just have to go there. But I'm amazed at the level of technology. If you know anything about this church, and I didn't think it would be successful, conducting services via the web, but you're there. And with the big screens and you're looking, I find myself looking at Ed on the screen as much as I do looking at him in person. Here's another thing that we kind of borrowed from here at Killian. They have the text invitation. That was kind of cool. I was raised in a traditional church, so I thought I was kind of freaked out when I first read it. But we utilize this as a hotline, and we've got some posters and we've got lines, so kids, if there's a problem, if they need help, they want to talk, if they don't want to come to the office, they can text us. So our world is changing, and the reason I showed church, it's so ingrained in our society now, everywhere except school. Bill Gates was on an interview this week, I don't know if anybody saw it. He said he's pouring his efforts now into education and changing education, because that's the last major entity that has not changed rapidly enough. And he's concerned about it, as we all are. Here's a question: will BYOT continue? Yes. That's the reason it's called 1 to X and not 1 to 1, because it could be 1 to 3. Kids would definitely still bring their smartphones, so they can still use their iPad. Can you opt out of the program if you have your own iPad, or if you're a Windows person and loathe Apple? That's fine. I know there's always a war, isn't it? Either love. Apple people are passionate about it. I'm in love with Siri. She's awesome. They put a voice with this. It's great. So you can't opt out. We're not forcing you to take one. Okay? That's question one that came up. BYOT is a success. These are just some of the pictures that you see around Killian often. I love this one. One of my teachers said, you got to come see us. Some 6th grade girls were working on a project. This little girl was absent. She was sick. And they said, asked the teacher, can we FaceTime our partner and then work on our project? She said, sure, go out in the hall. They worked on their project via FaceTime. That was cool. I had to come down and take a picture of that. Student was working in science lab. Pulled out they were using those little plastic protractors to calculate the slope of the incline and the force involved. I heard this voice like, Mr. Cassel, come check this out. I look over and he's doing that. That was from AppZilla. 101 apps, I believe, or something like that. So kids, we're learning from the kids as we go along. I saw this last year and cracked up. They're using them as mirrors. I went home and asked my daughter, I said, Carly, have you ever used your iPhone as a mirror? Everybody does, Dad. That's where you've been. Obviously not paying attention. I thought that was pretty interesting. Did you hear? We've already started the 1 to X implementation with our teachers and our staff. They've all received MacBook Pros and 5 MacBook Airs in their classrooms, and just received their iPads. Now, we've had iPads at Killian in the hand of our staff for almost 2 years. So they're very familiar with them. We've been working ahead. We are ready for this implementation. We can't wait for the kids to get these in their hands. This started with Mr. Moncrief. He's with an email back and forth with the staff. Would we be camped out just like they do in Apple stores? I said, That would be funny. So we played a joke on the technologists when people came in from technology. We were camped out in the halls and set out tents. And then there's Coach Vernon. She looked like a homeless person from Austin. Here's the term repurposing. The district uses that word. There's a lot of new verbiage coming out of one to X. I like repurposing. Computer labs are going away. There's no need for computer labs as such, the traditional ones, because they'll have the research right in the palm of their hand. They do it in the classroom. So what we've added with Mac Airs is that they can utilize what they started building on their iPhone or iPad or Windows-based unit, and then they can manipulate it through iMovie or whatever on Macintoshes and actually produce the product that way. Another question that came up. If we're going Macintosh and we have Windows at home, and how are they going to share files and things? We're going to start using Google, well, we've been using Google Docs and Edmodo. So we're going to save things on the cloud, regardless of whatever format they posted, the students post their work in, the teacher can retrieve it via whatever device they're using. We'll just have to be using Mac. So that's not an issue at all, the compatibility. So if you're a Windows person, it's still going to work fine. I'm telling you as parents, because I told my staff this, we're blazing the trail with 1 to X. Nobody in the nation does it like we're doing it. Everyone has it so restricted, the kids can't put anything on, they can't take them home. Kids can take these home. Another question, can they keep it over the summer? Absolutely. That's what's unique about LISD's approach with this. But with this approach, since nobody's doing it, it's going to be a bumpy ride. And I gave the analogy of four-wheeling. And if you've ever been four-wheeling in a Jeep or dune buggy or whatever, you get out there, it's bumpy, it's muddy, it's dirty, it's messy, but dang, it's fun. And so that's what I think. This is my 29th year in education. All of it at the middle school level, 10 years as a teacher. That's the reason my wife says I've worked, because I've been in the middle school for 29 years. We did this as a joke. I thought it was kind of funny. One of the persons in technology said, your knees aren't touching the floor. I said, God, I would split in half if that happened. But this was funny as a poster that Mr. Stone put up in front of the entrance. You may have seen it coming in. Literally last week, there was 2 girls sitting there looking at it and said, Mr. Cassel, come here. I want to ask you something. I said, sure, what? We're arguing back and forth. Is this you when you were young? I wish I wouldn't be here right now. This is one of our students that had a Christmas present. She brought it in to Mr. Stone's class. Of course, he called me, come down, check this out. A virtual keyboard. And like I said, I've got a friend in the hill country who's super country. And he said, man, that's JTS, that's Jetson type stuff, isn't it? It's cool. Things are changing so rapidly. It's hard to keep up. It's got to start somewhere. So that's my part of the program. We're going to come back in just a minute, and I'm going to answer your questions. Write down some questions if I didn't answer some already. And Richard Lane will take over real quick. And